Hi and welcome to the Light Leaders, a podcast for light workers who want more money, power and impact. I'm your host, Alex E. Lember. I believe that we are currently in the middle of a global awakening of humanity and that leveraging entrepreneurship is the fastest way to raise the consciousness of our planet. So in this podcast, I interview light workers and conscious entrepreneurs who follow their soul mission and have built a business around it. I call them light leaders, and this is the new paradigm. You will hear their stories and, more importantly, receive tools, tips, and strategies on how you can also impact more people and grow your business while following your soul mission. If you hear little nuggets you love and you'd like to share, screenshot this episode and share on your Instagram stories. Make sure to tag us at the Lightleaders Podcast and we will repost. Hey, there's a project I'm super passionate about. It's called the Lightleaders Mastermind. We're looking for people who really want to create better systems for the new us and see blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and decentralized technologies as a great way to do it. More concretely, we'll have a few mastermind events with top guest speakers, and we'll create a group of like-minded people to build those new foundations. We want people who are passionate about the values around sovereignty and freedom and who are also capable and solution-driven. So if that sounds like you, I invite you to get more information on thelightleaders.org/mastermind. We also have a free Telegram group that you'll find there where you can get more info.
I have one on the top of my mind, directed at Sim and Oliver. In sync, I would probably ask Oliver to respond first, but I was at your talk, Sim, and you talked a lot about the transfer of value from fiat into crypto, and then you even alluded to the transfer of value from crypto into resources. And Oliver, I know you very well, and I know your outlook on how we transition into the future, specifically from fiat to crypto, crypto to resources, and from resources into access. And so I want to ask Oliver to kind of talk a little bit about that, and then Sim, based on what Oliver says, I'd love to see where you guys do or do not fully align.
Great question. There's a greater intelligence that's guiding this transition as we move into the next age. And the movement from the current system into a new one goes through many phases, as was just pointed out. At each phase, there's a slight change which happens. So from fiat to crypto, the change which happens is the control of the supply of money and the control generally of the currency shifts from a central authority to a decentralized authority. Then from crypto into resource-based thinking, and some people use barter systems to talk about that type of economy, but let's just say resource. The shift is from the governance model, which is decentralized, to the access to resources, which are decentralized, where people are now able to trade in resources, whether or not they had resources in the old paradigm, that is now the base currency is resources. And then resources shifts into access. And the difference is that once you've made that shift, you're fully in the new paradigm where everyone is working together as a whole society and a whole system into building something beautiful together. And then, so you're no longer in that illusion of separation of consciousness, but into the unity consciousness. And then all of the fruits of the society get collectively accessed by all people. And the access is based on the amount you contributed and the amount you unfolded your genius. So that's just very as briefly as I could on the model that Yono was talking about. And generally, one thing I'd encourage just anyone to think about is your money, whether it's fiat or in crypto currently, is only as useful as people will accept it. And even if there's an economic crash which collapses fiat, it's likely that that has huge effects on the crypto markets too. And so the highest thing you could have right now in order to secure your future and the future of a new paradigm, in my opinion, are resources. What are resources? Not gold, because who's going to eat your gold and receive your gold if it doesn't mean anything to them anymore? But more so resources like having a permaculture farm, or having a water source, or having a home, or having community and friends and family. I don't want to resourceify those things, but those are the things which are really mattering and that will remain no matter what happens in the world. So focus on that as much as you can.
First of all, doesn't everybody love hearing Oliver speak? That voice, oh my God. All right. I completely agree in many ways. Money is useless, gold is useless. It's quality of life and value that matters. This transition that's going to happen from the old system to the new system, you can go through crypto, you can go through, definitely you need to be self-sufficient. Definitely you need food, water, shelter, safety, community, and love. As long as you have those, you're going to be perfectly fine. Who is the richest person? The billionaire who has to work his ass off doing stuff that he hates to do, but he has billions? Or the person who gets to wake up in the arms of a loved one and see their children and watch them grow up and feed them, and maybe doesn't have as many fake numbers in a bank account? So transition your understanding of value to a, like, what is value to you? What value to me is time with awesome people that I love, spent doing things that I love and living my purpose. So if you have money in the bank, it doesn't matter. It's all about how much you have here. Yeah, this is all being done by a higher intelligence. It is. We are a higher intelligence. This entire universe is a hallucination of the higher intelligence, or whatever you want to call it. We're just a universe hallucinating itself. So what's your hallucination? Okay? All we're saying is, first of all, I just want to say, the dollar isn't going to disappear tomorrow. That's not the plan. The first thing that's going to disappear is the dollars in your bank account. But the dollar's not going. Okay, learn how to transition from the banking system into crypto, and then learn when to transition out of crypto at the right time and back into the dollar, actually. It's going to take about 15 years to collapse. And along the way, remember, the whole goal is quality of life. And now here's the single most important resource in the world: knowledge. You want access? Knowledge. You want resources? Knowledge. It's free. You can share it, and actually, it's like love. It grows when you share it. So just gain knowledge, and it doesn't matter what they do. They've done this for many, many times before. The world is collapsing. Guess what? We built a better world out of it. So transition through whichever system you want. In the end, turn it into resources, which for me is, love, family, community, friends, good time, good food with good people, and good sun. I hope that answers the question.
Nico, Ombiya, if you want to react on this one, feel free to.
Yeah, I guess I just echo what you shared, and you as well. Resources are so important, and that's why I think we all were pulled to Bali, because here we have fertile soil, we have fruit, we have so much land, so many beautiful people. We're safe here. There's poverty around us, but people aren't stealing and killing. We're in a very, very safe place where I feel like we can really build these new communities, and knowledge not only being so important, but I feel like, presence is also just so important, and learning how to leave the mind and use the mind as a tool instead of letting it control you. And so, remembering there's always going to be polarity, right? There's always going to be people struggling and people doing well. There's always going to be poor and rich, fear and hate, but love and joy and bliss. Like, there has to be a yin with the yang, but it's the presence and what you choose to align with and what you choose to focus on and bring into your creation. So yeah, I'm really blessed to be here with all of you who have that taste of presence and are seeking to be more embodied in that. So, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, those are beautiful shares. I'll just share my bit on thoughts. I mean, this is literally why I came to Bali. These two reasons. There's a lot of food here, and the people here are amazing. So the only thing that survives the crash, the big crash, will be community and humans. So the money system might be gone, everything else might be gone, gold will be worthless, it's a metal, but we'll have each other. And humans are going to still be here and contribute their energy, and it's the most powerful resource. So I feel like what we're doing right now, what our main purpose is to build our communities, to come together with this kind of meeting and with all the other meetings that are happening and with the Balinese people. So yeah, that's what survives the crash.
The Balinese have been here when the ocean rises up and floods everything through tsunamis. They've been here when fire rains down from the sky through volcanoes, when earthquakes knock down all their buildings, and when dengue fever tries to murder them every single day. They didn't have money, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have Wi-Fi until very, very recently. And these are the happiest people you can find on the planet. That should say something. They have love, they have faith, they have community. Those things, you can survive off of those things. And then the food just grows like, without even trying, food grows everywhere. So we're fine, just grow those things.
Any question? Mai?
Hi, everyone. Just a quick question. I'm interested to know how Bali is like a hub of such gatherings. I'm interested to know in your experience, what other places in the world that could be considered a safe place as well to potentially, be in at this current time and the next few years.
The implicit question in that is also what's going to happen in the next few years. One axiom to look at of safety is governmental and that type of safety, but then there's also geological and tectonic safety, which is probably another thing to consider. There's going to be a lot of rises and falls and floodings and movement of population and all sorts of stuff happening that's going to completely change the surface of the earth beyond governance too. So the safest place, in my view, is always going to be the place where your soul gets called to go, because that's going to be what you need to go through for your highest purpose. Now, speaking pragmatically within that, what seems to be the indication is that the poles are going to shift such that Bali, or not Bali specifically, but Indonesia is going to become the new North Pole, believe it or not, magnetically, and Costa Rica will be the new South Pole. And it's no coincidence that Bali and Costa Rica are two of the hubs on the planet. And then another hub I can mention is Tulum in Mexico is emergent. Portugal is a very vibrant place right now. The Azores is probably going to rise and become a huge landmass, synonymous to Atlantis and the area that was in. So there's going to be a lot of these places popping up. And I'd say look out especially for islands, and the islands of resilience, as the prophecy stated, that are going to be these island nation states that self-govern and live in beautiful abundance and peace, and especially around these equatorial regions.
Everything that's happening is global, so running from one place to the next is not going to solve anything for any one of us. The safest place is here in your heart, and you will be called to the place, to the physical location that you should be going to. But the question of safety is a misunderstanding of your purpose on the planet.
because you're here for a reason, and you didn't just come here accidentally, and you're not just gonna go accidentally. So if you have that knowledge, it's not a faith actually, it's a knowledge that you came here with a purpose, then you are always safe because you will fulfill your purpose, and you just need to remain in your heart.
I have nothing more to say on that. It's beautiful. Thank you.
This is a question I've been pondering for about 12 years. Spent a long time researching how collapses go and the dynamics that play out during those situations. Here are some criteria which are pertinent for you to survive when the biblical collapse of this sort comes along. First of all, in simple terms, you need to be in a place that you can survive without power or without cooling or heating. Bali. You need a place that food grows readily and clean water is abundant. Bali. You need a place with a culture that is anti-fragile. First of all, you need a culture that is built to deal with disasters, because they become anti-fragile means they become stronger during the disasters, not weaker. The West, it has a thin veneer of civility until disaster comes, at which point all social norms break down. I'm American, so Americans, we have guns. That doesn't go well. So you need a culture that is anti-fragile, like the Balinese, because they deal with all the disasters that I already spoke about, and they actually deal with it in a way that they become stronger during that process. You need cultural structures which are set up in a way so that they predate the economic paradigm that is about to go down, right? That is about to be revolutionized, let's say, that predate that are ancient cultures that operate off of barter systems effectively. Bali has a backup barter system that goes live, that's even used nowadays, that precedes the banking system and will replace it readily as soon as the actual system goes down. You need a place where the social structures are set up in a way so that they do not break down during disaster. Well, that's why Bali set up from a bottom-up Banjar setup where the governance is localized. Bali is decentralized governance at its finest in the world. I've never seen anything better. So I researched that, and I'll be honest, the only place I could find that fit all of those and then of course I was thinking, if I want to raise my kids, I want a place which will be in a growth period over the next 30 to 40 years, because it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. And the only place that met all of those conditions and criteria was the island of Bali, not even Indonesia. And many other places that I looked at, they did not have some of those seminal pieces. So, I'll answer it by saying, set your roots here. Move all your loved ones here. Bali has energetic protection. It's been protected for a very long period of time. It is the island of the gods for a reason. And the gods in the universe, whatever you want to call it, they will not, and places like Peru have it too, and many other places have it, but as far as those things that I just talked about, the only place that meets that criteria is here. If there was another place, I would have gone there. I sold everything in Canada and moved here specifically for that reason.
All good on this?
Nice. I just had some additional places to share that might be helpful. So I was in Costa Rica right before this, and I will say, in terms of long-term stronghold, that did seem like probably the #1 place for me, just because there's a lot of heavy hitters doing big land projects over there who are very focused on growing their own food. The founder of Envision is over there, and I also have a bunch of other people. There's really, really good. Oh yeah. I just wanted to add value, but if you don't want me to, it's fine. I didn't have a question, I just wanted to add value. Yeah, it's no problem. I'm happy to talk afterwards.
Costa Rica has now implemented a blanket vaccine passport policy for all entry, exit, transit, entry into places, living, period. In general. It's not exactly the best place to be.
Hello. My question is about what a couple of you said about gold not being any use in Bali. And I feel that for the Balinese, they really do understand gold because their temples are covered in gold. It's in the DNA here. And I just wonder why you think that gold won't be any use in Bali. You did.
Wait. Hold on.
A couple of people did it.
I never said gold's not useful. Yeah, like, at what point are you using gold? You're using gold. Are you saying using gold to transact? Do you want to be the person with a sack of gold walking around when the money system shuts down? You want to be the boule who has a sack of gold who's trying to trade gold for food? You know, Bali, let's be honest. Bali, I love Bali, but it's Indonesia. They beat people to death for making little mistakes. Do you think that's not going to happen to somebody who's walking around with bags of gold? So if you're saying gold as a hedge to protect your wealth, one of the best things to have. Just don't tell anybody about it. Do not show anybody any of it. Hide it in places where people can't come and touch it. I love gold. But if you're going to get, one of the things I'm seeing people do is they get little beads of gold because they think that's how we're going to be transacting. That's not going to happen. There's going to be a completely new banking system that's going to go live that you're going to have to hit I agree on. As a matter of fact, when you run the security analysis on transacting in gold, you're increasing your risk of harming yourself when you actually transact in gold. Gold is simply a way to store wealth. And as a wealth storage mechanism, I still see it as better than Bitcoin. As a wealth generation mechanism, Bitcoin is better for some period and on the long term. But as a wealth storage mechanism, nothing's better than gold because it's been money forever. So I'm not saying gold is bad. It's just how are you using gold? And don't tell anybody you have any gold.
Well, I love gold, and I feel like it has a really amazing frequency. And when you have it in your hand, you can feel it, and it's really fun. And that's all I've got about gold.
Yeah, I actually think that gold is incredibly useful for painting the top of temples, making earrings, your bracelets, even some wiring in your TV. Well, no, scrap the TV. Some wiring in your juicer. And so I think gold is really great for what it can actually be used for. When gold's not so useful is when it's locked up where no one can see it in a vault. And that's more on a philosophical basis. Now, of course, in the short term, gold is a pretty good security hedge to have, but only so long as we can agree on the consensus of that, because when the day comes when you want to eat food and there's no system in a very chaotic environment, your gold's not going to be as valuable as a field full of apples or a field full of carrots or whatever it may be. So, yeah, gold is great, but I think the point is gold is most useful when it's used for the things that can really add value beautifully and for its technology and resonance that it provides.
I love gold as much as anyone. It's great. It's a very high frequency, but community is better than gold.
I agree.
So I feel like today's a day for me to cleanse out a little of the doomsday conspiracy theorist that still lives in me and I'm very proud of. I recently read a book called The Sovereign Individual that talks about how the nation state was created on the back of violence. And our favorite crypto celebrity Elon Musk recently tweeted that what makes the government powerful is it's a corporation that has a monopoly on violence. So my question is this: how does violence look like? How do we deal with the violence? We have our own communities, we have our own farms, we have our own economic areas, and then Indonesia or whatever else is called a government comes into play, whether it's like they're already doing in Australia or they come, all of our worst fears. What does that look like, and how do we protect ourselves from that in this new earth? And do we have to?
Yes, we have to. Violence will never go away. Violence is a base frequency of nature. Look at what nature does in every single space. Every animal dies a violent death. What we call violence is simply a natural process. Will it be perpetrated against us? Of course. Of course. We are trying to build a new way. So the best way to avoid violence on the journey of building a new way during journey is do not stop the tyranny. And I'm really sorry to have to tell everyone this. The way you stop the tyranny is you build a new way. Because the tyranny is there because it's a season. And this is the talk we just had. The way you make sure you and your children do not have that violence directed at you is you stay out of the way of the tyranny. Right? So you don't go into the matrix and try to change the matrix. It's the matrix. You can't. It's the matrix. You go out of the matrix and you build your own space outside of the matrix and you pull everybody out of the matrix that you can and you do your best to not try to knock down the system itself. The system's going to knock itself down. Every time they build one of these systems, it's meant to kill itself. It's just going to happen in 100 years after we're all dead. So how do you avoid that violence? You, one, become educated against it. Secondly, resist in the way that's been most effective during tyrannies, which is to build a new way and show people how to live the new way. And the new way is so good that people are like, why wouldn't I just live like this? I don't want to live in a fake metaverse world. But I'll be brutally honest, 90% of us are supposed to die. And that's probably going to happen within the next 50 years. And it's okay. If I die, so what? I'll just change states and I'll go to a higher level frequency and then I'll get to play this game again. Whoop-de-doo, who cares? At least live.
I think the biggest protection against any frequency of violence or anger or destruction from the perspective of the old paradigm and old society and the violence present there, the biggest protection is your own resonance, your own frequency, and whether you're in proximity to that in your own journey or not. If you are in living a reality of love and kindness and acceptance, to the extent that you can accept the police officer when he tries to stop you for asking your driver's license or pursue his fundraising activities, whichever you wish to express. If you can accept him in total love and compassion and not have any fear of authority in that process, actually he won't even flag you down because you won't be in resonance to his type of approaching. Now, try it for yourself, but your biggest protection is your own resonance. So that's both in terms of having a high vibration and in terms of not being in proximity vibrationally to certain things like fear of authority, which is one of the biggest ones. So a little tip for you, and I may regret saying this on camera, but next time a figure of authority tries to stop you in your path, walk through in your full power and continue straight forward with your truth. And you'll probably have a little bit of moment inside of you where your ego is wondering what you're doing and that you're going to put yourself in danger. And if you confront that and keep moving forward, then time up bit by bit, you'll no longer fear authority and you'll be in total peace with yourself and authority in yourself and in the creator and source of all.
Thank you. Yeah, what you said is true. The best protection against violence is your own frequency and your knowledge of the universal law of free will, which is something that the higher dimensional civilizations can embody, and we can try to embody it. And I have to say that it does work. I've been in very tough situations, and I've been tuning into only love, and suddenly the tough situation disappeared. So my advice would be to never fear, because fear is a low frequency. So when you find fear, you have to overcome the fear. That's sort of our process. Everyone has fear. Okay, you have to overcome it. Because that makes it, not being in fear kind of repels the violence as well. It's true you cannot rebuild the matrix, and have another news for you guys. It's not 90% that are going to die. It's 100% of us that are going to die. But you choose how you die, and you choose how you live. So this is the most important aspect of this. And the violence, I don't think, can come to us at all. And I just embody that frequency as well as I can. And there might be mistakes, but we'll just do it. It works.
So maybe a part of me is a little naive, but there is a part of me that still has hope and has faith and believes that we're all way more powerful than we know, and that there are other people out there that are way more powerful than we know, and that there is a possibility of things going another way that we can't foresee. And there's always been this part in me that sees like a revolution, like in the 60s, people banding together, coming together in numbers and overthrowing dark forces that are controlling them to go in a direction where they're saying, hell fucking no, this is not okay. And yeah, I see that coming through music, through movies, through creativity in all different forms. And I don't know, there's still this hope in me that we may not go into the darkest of days, and maybe we do, but I don't know. I have this spark in me deep down that feels like we can change the reality of what we see by believing in it as the movie The Matrix shows, by believing in yourself. And by doing that, you can create a different reality. So don't underestimate who you are.
You are the creator of the universe. You are the universe. That's a fundamental fact, that you are the universe. You create all of it, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever you want to call it. So create it. Create the universe.
Thank you. And actually, Oliver, as you mentioned, I might regret to say it on camera. I want to share the priority here is people being here. So anything, any of you or anyone wants to cut from the recording, if there's any truth you want to share here that you don't want to have in the recording, it's totally possible. So don't hold back.
Can we cut everything I say from the recordings?
So part of me is just like, sign me up. I want to come home and live in the new earth like tomorrow. And there's also reality of it's not quite built yet. My question is for, say, a family like us with a small baby, like what should we be doing on all levels to prepare for this new earth, to transition from the old, to prepare financially, like we have an online business? Should we imagine that there's going to be internet and we can continue our old life in some way? Like, should we have a pad of crypto or fiat cash? Or like, what would you do if you were in our shoes? And what will the investment opportunity look like, if you're even calling it that? Like, what will we need?
It's a great question. I think there's many speculations and theories people can have to answer some parts of that. Ultimately, your soul knows best what you need to be doing right now. And so the biggest safeguard against and to make sure that you're in total alignment with the new earth and with going there is to hold that intention and to have a practice where you can check in with yourself to make sure that the things you're still doing in your life, you're doing because they're resonant with you and not just because you've always been doing them. And so many people are going to be changing what they're doing because it's just not going to be, resonant with the paradigm that's shifting, and that's a good thing. You know, we can all reallocate our roles. I have a friend who is going to be a beekeeper in the new paradigm. He already knows it, right? But there's going to be a lot of things he has to do before he gets there. So just tune into your being and feel how you can contribute. Now, pragmatically, if you want to get your hands dirty, and I love getting my hands dirty and creating the new paradigm, there's so many ways and so many projects and so many things that where people can help out in a variety of ways, from a little bit of time to a little bit of assets, or a lot of assets, or a lot of time, to ideas, to thinking, to whatever it may be. If there's a willingness to support the creation of the new, there are abundant opportunities that can support that.
Okay. He already said everything. I mean, for me, it's just meditate, play, meditate, play, meditate, play. Meditate means you do whatever your practices are to raise your frequency. Play means you do whatever you do in the world. For you, it's probably just taking care of your baby. It's probably the most important thing that you can do. And for business advice, I always feel extra excited about everything that has to do with the new earth that we're creating. I feel it's a massive growth market. Everyone is waking up. The wake-up rate of the planet is exponential. So your customer base is going to grow exponentially if you do anything that has to do with creating the new civilization. And there's so much that has to be done. So I feel like there's a huge amount of opportunity there. And the other good thing is the old systems do not see that opportunity at all. So it's only you. You get that.
Just want to add something quickly, which is 100% what NIKOLAUS said. But on top of it, how you do it is going to determine whether it's successful or not. And doing it from a heart of service and wanting to truly show up in a way that can help the most people and help all of life thrive will put you in a situation where it is successful, because that is in resonance with the new paradigm. Trying to do something which can help build the new earth for the purpose of extraction or profit will not succeed anymore. The times are done when that is in resonance. So focus on how, not just what.
So I'm getting married and also plan on having a baby in the next couple years. And so I've been asking myself that question a lot. And where I'm going is finding land, is buying land. There's 20 to 25 year leases that you can lease a couple aras, and it's actually way cheaper than you would think. And even to build like a beautiful eco-modern house is actually way cheaper than you'd think. So if you start really kind of envisioning, creating vision boards, what you'd want, and start kind of like moving in that direction of like having shelter, growing food, finding a place with water source, just kind of like we were talking about, finding a place that has the resources, you can actually do it on your own without having to join anyone else's vision. Unless you totally align with them, then amazing. Like, these guys are so organized. I'm just like, wow. But there's ways that you can get started sooner if you feel like you have the resources to do so, and you want to kind of take the reins. Like, again, you have all the power to create what you feel like is best for your family. So just believing in that and planning for that. And like he said, like, the pieces will just come, you know, as soon as you have the vision locked down of what's important to you and what your values are, and you start just moving in that direction, like, all of the things that you need will just keep coming. Bali is like that. The manifestation power here is unbelievable. So, yeah.
I completely agree with raising your frequency and manifesting it. That's a real thing. You are the creator of the universe, so you create the universe by literally resonating it out in the 5D to the field, and the field resonates back with everything that you need. In the 3D, step number 1, protect your wealth. Take it out of the banking system, put it into assets, digital assets, yes. At the right time, enter digital assets. This is not financial advice, but it looks like crypto is going to go down further until about the end of this year. So sometime at the beginning of next year, I'm going to be entering in a big way. At sometime in 2022, on the way up, I'm going to be exiting into stable coins. Move all of your wealth outside of the banking system to stable coins. Put it inside of corporations so that you are not exposed to the stuff that I talked downstairs. turn those stablecoins into cash and spend it as you wish on an incremental basis. If you have a significant amount of wealth, put it into revenue streams and investments. Put it into as many digital revenue streams as you can that are hooked up, that are faced towards the metaverse, because that's the future that's coming. And to answer your investment opportunity question, the next 8 years will present the single greatest investment opportunity that's ever existed in humanity, ever. There's a reason why they're collapsing the system now, because they do not want us to participate in it, but it is going to be the single greatest wealth and prosperity generation event ever for at least the next 100 years. So digital assets, definitely, crypto, the right ones. Physical assets, if you're holding them long term, land, gold, sure. Business revenue streams, if your business is online, great, grow that. Set up 4 more that are horizontally scalable, so that you're not monetizing your time, you're monetizing the value that you're adding to people's lives. Use as much of that prosperity that you generate to generate exactly what was just said: land, shelter, community, security. Grow your own food, pull out your own water, pull energy out of the air and the sky and from solar. Become 100% self-sufficient and be prepared to be able to live without electricity and internet and money. If you simply do not lose your money, if you leave your money in the bank, it's going to be gone within the next 2 years, 3 years at the latest, 4 years if things don't go to plan. If you protect your money from that banking collapse and you put it into crypto and you don't sell it lower than where you bought it, your money will be safe there. If you can grow it within crypto, there's no better opportunity than that. And that opportunity will stay there for about the next year. And after that, regulations will come in and make it much more difficult for you to participate. At the end of it, please make sure you teach your child how to be self-sufficient. That knowledge is the single greatest thing that'll help you survive into the future, help us survive into the future. We literally educate about this stuff constantly. If these steps sounded fast, we have a recording from downstairs. I have recordings about each one of these steps. We're guiding people through these steps as they're happening live. We're giving you data. We're giving you all this stuff. Please just learn and participate, and we'll give you all this stuff for free forever. I'll make sure of it.
We can take 1 or 2 more questions. So we'll get 1 and 2. And then we will close.
Thank you. In a way, future feels hopeful if you're willing to take responsibility for yourself. In a way, also looks kind of gloomy, especially for, say, my family that is living in a very different paradigm. Even, my parents are not vaccinated, but my very sophisticated sister, who is, has so many great qualities and educated, it's very hard to convince her even to not take vaccine. So what does future look like for our family members that are somewhere else, living a very different lifestyle? And what is it that we can do to slowly maybe impact them? And maybe within us, even as hopeful as I am, I feel like there is that shadow aspect or that fearful aspect that sometimes creeps in, that is still that shadow of the old paradigm, as much as I'm moving toward that new, the light. And same as whatever that is out there, a big majority of the population, that is also me, that is not separate from me, so I'll have that within me. So how do we deal with those aspects and those aspects that are in our loved ones? That's my question. And just want to hear your perspectives on that. Thank you.
So we have to just remember that we can't change anyone and can't change anyone's mind against do they get it or not. If they want to get it, they will. And it's our job to accept that they are doing what they think is best for them, because everyone is just doing the best that they can. And there's a lot of people who are very asleep. And presence, again, is the key, because it is just as, I guess, it's risky to get on the bike and drive away. You know, you could be gone from that. And it's risky to get a vaccine. And again, it's just presence and just appreciating them and loving them and holding them in the highest, even if they do choices that you don't agree with and that are hard for you to see. To just appreciate and love them in the moment is all we can really do. And I've suffered a lot from this because my family is all vaccinated. And all I can do is just love them harder and be more present with them and just show up in all the ways that I can to just appreciate them and have them feel that. So, yeah.
What's going on right now is a very well-known process called mass formation. It's a method of mass hypnosis that was perpetrated by the Nazis to coerce the entire German population into murdering good people. It's the same thing that was done in Roman times. Once somebody's under the spell of mass formation and they're living in a paradigm which feeds and reinforces that mass hypnosis, no amount of data and no amount of facts that are contradictory will ever wake them up from that. If your loved ones have chosen, they're souls that have come here for a purpose. They're making decisions on their soul's path, and if their soul's path at some point is going to lead them down a road which you do not like, all I can recommend is hug them really tight. Every time I hug anybody I love or anybody, period, I watch them die. And I know that change of state is simply them leaving this beautiful video game to go to some other place that's even higher than this. So, sadly, accept that people are going to leave. The people who are going to stay, they're going to stay. 10% of people are completely resistant to mass formation. 25% of people are highly resistant, but still can be swayed. A large part of the population just does not have a chance. They didn't listen to the knowledge that we've listened to. So you can't change them. If anything, you can try to wake them up, because that's what love does. Love tries even when it's completely hopeless. So keep banging on those doors. Keep trying to wake them up. Maybe one of them is part of that 25% that isn't meant to go to sleep and kind of fell asleep under the spell, and they do wake up. People will wake up when it's too late by the end of 2023. 2023 to 2024, people will wake up. But the powers that be have solutions that they have in place, namely martial law, that will be implemented to take care of all those people. So I know I sound like a nihilist, but the sad reality is we're all sleeping in the beds we make.
It's quite a heavy topic. I think it's entirely possible that a lot of the surface, the population of the Earth does get wiped out. I think we can always keep an open heart to fractal possibility in the universe, and that there are routes of possibility where more people make it. But that also entirely depends on us and our ability to open those doors to make it ever so slightly easier for that person which just needed that tiny extra little push in their journey. But it does all come down to personal choice. And so where we can show up as light leaders is to learn to cultivate true acceptance and true honoring of someone and where they are. There are people in my life that probably won't make it, but that I'm in true acceptance about that, and I've already surrendered them. And I had a very interesting experience about 9 months ago when I was actually quite sad about how my mother was, and I decided to let her go fully and to say, okay, well, I have no idea if she's going to make it or not. And actually what happened was extremely surprising, is that when I let her go fully, she actually got so much better and is now healthier than she's been in 4 years and is, really stepping up in her life. And so actually the biggest gift you can give to anyone is to release them from any hold you have on them, because it gives them the fullest potential to manifest as they want to manifest and as their soul is able to manifest in that moment. So that would be the bottom line for me, is release people and focus on what you're creating, love everyone unconditionally, and those which are ready to make it will receive your love and will receive the love all around them and will do everything they can to make it. And it's not too late if someone, whatever someone's put in their body, whatever choices someone's made in the past, if their conviction decides that they will make it, they can. There are ways and means for everything. It's so just keep loving, and that's the best we can do.
Thank you. I think everything already has been said. There's still, a global sadness and personal sadness about all this that, we feel. It's just, we have to learn to accept that everyone's soul is on their own path. And I guess that is the teaching for us. But practically, I'm a big fan of practical solutions. What really works is love and speaking the truth. Love is obvious, but speaking the truth is not that obvious. When you speak the truth, you speak to someone else's soul, and that soul knows the truth. And by that, they might just wake up all on their own without you doing anything. You just speak the truth. You're not trying to convince someone, but you're also not staying quiet while lies are being spread. You are speaking up, and you are speaking truth. And by that, many can be saved. It was my personal experience with this, so I'm going to tell a story. It makes it maybe more relatable and less airy-fairy. I was locked up with my parents in 2020, and both of them were, watching the news every night and being scared of the virus and everything. And I just arrived there in March. I had done all my research. I already knew, that there wasn't a virus and all this kind of stuff. It was not hard to figure out, even at that time. You just did some minimal research. And, we would just have dinner conversations, and I would just share the truth. And sometimes they would look at me and go like, you're a crazy person. There's no way. And other times they would look at me and go, oh my God, I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, you can, look it up. And then I gave them some opportunities, to do their own research. Well, long story short, in the end, they switched off the TV completely. They never watched TV anymore. And, they figured it all out, and they woke up. And so all I can say is it works. Speaking your truth, love, works. And we can wake many up. And it's some have their own soul path and will perish. Or, their eternal souls will reincarnate somewhere else. And some won't. But I feel like practically what we can really do is speak the truth.
Last question.
I understand that we are very privileged being here in Bali, and at the same time, I don't believe that everybody who would love to be here is here. And I don't see that the people who are not here are maybe in this awakened coma state. What I observe a lot is that my home country, Germany, there are a lot of people who are awake, who are aware, and I would like to ask you for help or concrete tips how we can help them from being here, being in this power, being on Mama Bali, being so in this abundant place. So what I'm doing actually right now is to connect all the people who feel so lonely and separated, and they're under the pressure of being called Nazis, all those things. So we gather in Zoom circles, etc. But there's not easy access to land that is cheap, or maybe they don't have the opportunity to come here, move to Bali because of jobs they have, or maybe being too old and have never been left Germany, or language barrier. But I would like to help them, support, give back, because I'm here and we are in this beautiful collective, and I want to also nurture other people who are not here because we are in this privilege. So if you have concrete tips, then I know you shared a lot already, but at the moment we're thinking of, should we all just gather together and meditate together? Or because I believe some of the tips, especially you shared, Sim, are maybe not so easily to implement now. And I'm thinking of my mom, I'm thinking of my brother, and I'm connecting them to fake papers, all these things, but what else? Thank you.
I guess I'll go first. I think we can zoom in and give pragmatics, and we can zoom out a bit too and see the bigger picture. To start with the zoom in, people around the world need to, if they are aware, need to ask themselves what is keeping them in toxic environments, why they would do that to themselves. And in any country you can find peaceful environments or create peaceful environments if you're willing to do that, some harder than others, granted. But for example, in Europe, if they were able to, and they were willing to throw all of their life and their knowing in Germany away, they could travel to Portugal from Germany, even by car, and choose the right routes for that to not be so much an issue. Find some cheap land in Portugal, connect with the other tens of thousands of people who have done the same in Portugal, who all speak beautiful English and who are all beautiful souls, and make it happen there. There are islands happening all over the world, from in every country at a micro level to hubs like we mentioned earlier on. And if people are willing, they can do it. It's not easy to let go of what you've known for your whole life, but we're not in easy times, and it'll get a lot easier once you're there, surrounded by people who aren't wearing anything on their face apart from a big smile and a big hug that they give you when you finally made it home. Oh, I was going to zoom out. Hey, you want to zoom out? Zoom out? On the zoom out level, what we're doing here in Bali and in other places like Costa Rica, which of course have their pros and cons, but there are a lot of people working on beautiful innovations, is that we're spearheading solving some problems, and we're going to be able to bring those solutions all over the world to other countries in a way which will be completely free to use and access, and for the only purpose of service and empowerment. And so even though not everyone can be here, I think the people that do end up making it here are here for a good reason, to play a role at that stage in the process, but that others all around the world will be able to benefit from many of these innovations which come out of it, whether it's social innovations, survival innovations, technology innovations, which can help us thrive in times of chaos. And as much as there is this chaotic trend happening and this crumbling and destruction of the old system, at the exact same time there is a huge emergence and building of the new that is happening in parallel. And so all you have to do is to find a place and tune in, even if you're not in the place, tune in to that creation, focus your own energy on that creation, your own energy on the building of that, and you will contribute to that world. It doesn't have to be chaos if you let yourself live in the different reality. And this is literally a different vibrational reality that once you tap into and live in, you will not be able to be affected by the old paradigm. I think, and that's the biggest way anyone can empower themselves, is to tap into the new. It's not just about surviving the death of the old, it's to embracing the emergence of a beautiful renaissance that is in its beginnings in its time on this planet.
I think your question was, how can you help those people that are still back there, right? And I think, first of all, connecting with them is already an amazing step, bringing the frequency to them. For what the people can do there, you know, it depends. Like, my mom won't move here. She's going to stay there. So those people we need to encourage to just find community and find each other, which I think will happen naturally, but maybe they can accelerate the process. And other people who can actually travel or want to go somewhere, I think what you can really do for them is to increase their desire to really embrace the new world. Because the only reason they're staying there is because they don't really believe it. They're just still in denial. So if you really see what's happening and you're really aware what's happening, then the choice to ditch your job is very easy. Obviously, you will ditch your job and go where you need to go, if it's Portugal or Bali or wherever. So what I've learned in my journey is that it is possible to increase someone's desire to do something. You ask them, do you want to do it? And they say yes. But how much do they want to do it? Do they want to really do it, or do they just kind of, sort of want to do it? So when you help people increase their desire and not even see better, I don't want to scare anyone, but increase the desire to do it. Because even right now, there's restrictions on traveling. I'm 100% convinced you can travel anywhere in the world you want if you have enough desire to do it. You will get there. You will find a way. You will find these exceptions. There's a million different ways you can do it. It's just a matter of how much do you want it. So if those people really want to get out, they can. So a teaching would be to increase the desire to really do it and to really envision the new world, which also increases the desire because it creates a vision of a thriving civilization. I wouldn't go with the doom and gloom kind of thing. Yeah.
I'd say a way to help them is get them to start buying crypto. For sure. And then just remembering to maybe, I feel like especially as a woman, we want to help everyone and really start helping ourselves. And that's what I've done the last 2 years. I've been really selfish and I've been helping myself and I've been taking care of myself and sitting alone and just watching myself grow, and my family has seen that, and the people that I love have seen that. And from me elevating myself, they're getting more and more interested. And my mom said to me yesterday, she's like, soon as Bali's opened, I'm coming out. She just wants to visit. She wants to see. I don't even think she knows, but I think subconsciously she wants to see my quality of life and what's changing me, and how I'm traveling to all of these beautiful places and posting these gorgeous stories and just laughing all the time and living a really beautiful life. So I think by really empowering yourself and taking care of yourself, then naturally whoever is meant to follow will. Mm-hmm.
So the window to be able to travel around the world is closed unless you're vaccinated. Period. The time for that has passed. Anybody who's here gets to stay here. Whoever isn't, they got to get vaccinated to get here. Beyond that point, when I left Canada, I had no idea what I was going to do in Bali. I left one of the most profitable businesses I'd ever built, selling cannabis legally, which I'd built over 5 years, and I sold that and moved here with absolutely no hope of knowing what I was going to do, and it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But it was the single best decision I've ever made. So definitely connect with them. Definitely show them that, hey, I know it seems scary to leave this paradigm that you grew up in, but actually leaving that paradigm is less scary than staying in that paradigm and suffering the consequences. If they simply just sold their furniture and their cars, they have more than enough to come live here for the rest of their life. Here's how. Okay? I'm connecting with a village where they're offering us as much land as we like, for $1.5 million per ara per year. $1.5 million per ara is 100 square meters, right? 200 square meters is enough to live and grow land, and you can pay it after the year of usage, and you can pay it yearly. And it has water on site that's called the Fountain of Youth that's bottled up and sold. It has food that just grows randomly by itself. For a family of 3, it would cost probably on the low end maybe $20,000 to build a place. Another $15,000 to make it fully self-sufficient. So $35,000 and those people could become 100% independent and self-sufficient. They would not need anything for the rest of their life effectively. And of course, these have to be people who are capable of actually generating value for people's lives, in which case, if you're resourceful, you can go anywhere. I was born in a mud house in India, in an auto rickshaw. We used to rub mud on the walls. And now I'm sitting here in Bali and I live in like palaces. And it was all done because, and my dad abandoned me when I was 15, and my mom died when I was 2, and my grandparents died when I was 7. Okay? I had nobody, and resourcefulness brought me to here. If these are resourceful people, show them that. That just their furniture is enough for them to free themselves from this whole shit show. And when they come here, don't worry, there's networks of people. I'm building one. We will be building the exits. As long as people are willing to take that scary step of leaving their paradigm, it does not cost very much to come here and become self-sufficient. And of course, then they would come here, yes, definitely, turn as much your wealth into digital assets, and obviously do not sell them lower than when you bought them. Rule number 1 of not losing money in crypto. But yeah, take the scary step of turning it into digital assets, because that's where the world's headed. Take the scary step of leaving your businesses and turning them into digital businesses. Take the scary step of leaving everything you know and everyone you know and going to a completely new land with the faith of knowing that there's people on the other side waiting for you. There are 1,000 sanctuaries being built in this place by 1,000 different crazies just like us, waiting for those people. So don't worry, we got them. Just get them the fuck out of there.
Aho! Thank you so much, guys. Spirit fingers for them. Thank you so much. That was amazing. We can even give them, like, show them a big heart if you all do this. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking some of your precious time to listen to this podcast. If you stayed until the end, I assume it was insightful. So if you like this podcast, please share with friends. Remember that if you tag us in your Instagram story at the Lightleaders Podcast, we will repost. Tell us what you've learned. You can also leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Now, if you want to stay posted about new podcast releases, especially as we get censored more and more on big tech platforms, make sure to join our newsletter and our Telegram. You'll find the links on thelightleaders.org, and feel free to contact me directly too, whether it's for feedback or potential collaborations. Thank you again, and let's co-create the conscious new earth together.